Tony. How you doing?
Hey, what's up? How's it going, brother?
Going good. It's going strong. So far, so good today. It's a lovely day out. I thought it was going to be raining, but it's really dry and it's just beautiful weather out.
Yeah,
How you doing?
I'm doing good. We just came from a rally at Washington Square Park, where we're celebrating May Day.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a lot of folks that know May Day. It's International Workers' Day, and all of us like to get together and talk about how we're gonna, fight for more for our workers and have our workers get treated with dignity and respect, because that's what it's all about, right?
That's right. That's what it's all about. That's what all of May Day, International Workers' Day, is all about. What was the rally you attended, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I was with the Raise Up New York Coalition, speaking on their behalf. The Raise Up New York Coalition was fighting to raise the minimum wage to 21.25 in New York State. Unfortunately, the governor, Catherine Hochul, didn't feel that that was enough. That was too much. So she feels that $17 an hour by 2026 is enough. That's what she feels. All these hardworking people that have worked in many different classifications and fields during a pandemic, that put their lives at risk, their families' lives at risk, and this is how she repays them. It's pretty sad that in legislative session that this is what the budget came up to, when there was over 150 organizations, unions, and hold on, let me step out of the car because I feel like we're gonna get disconnected. I'll meet you at the top.
All right.
Hold on 1 second. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's just been a little crazy. So yeah, she feels that that's enough for these people that put their lives on the line, and it's pretty sad because it's not enough. It's not enough for workers that have been, keeping New York going during the pandemic. It's just not fair. It's not right. It's not how you treat workers with dignity. It's not how you show workers respect. Let's face the facts, right? 21.25 just isn't enough to survive here in New York. You can't buy eggs. You can't buy gallons of milk. They're just too much money. I mean, you can buy it, but it's just costing you so much. If you were spending $40 in groceries, cost of inflation, you're spending almost $80. It's like double whatever you were paying. Everything is double. And they got the nerve to try to keep the people from making a little more. You want to help grow the economy, put a little more money back in the workers' pockets, don't you think?
Right. Right now, people are having to choose between having basic groceries or, just like they're being able to afford their rent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well,
So it's, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. I just was gonna say, if you could see my T-shirt, we're wearing our Ready to Strike T-shirts because, as you know, I'm sure you were gonna ask about the possible UPS strike that's gonna be coming. Everybody's been talking about it.
That's right. I did want to talk about that, but before we talked about that, I kind of wanted to get a little bit of a backstory on yourself. How long have you been in the Teamsters? What's your local, and how'd you get started?
Right. So I've been a Teamster of Local 804 for 28 years. I started as a part-time worker, basically loading UPS package cars. As a young kid I was about 19 years old. I was very lucky and fortunate to find a union job because at 17, I lost my dad and my mother around me. By the time about a year or two later, she was really struggling to pay bills and was worried she was probably going to lose the house. And I was lucky. I found a job with UPS, and back then, making $9.50 an hour wasn't too horrible. It was still not great, but minimum wage was only in '94 about $4 an hour, and so I was making above minimum wage. And I was able to help my mom. That's why I believe in the movement. There's a lot of workers out there that could use a union, that need a union. That's why all these workers like Starbucks and Amazon workers are all fighting to have a union, because they want to get a job that has higher wages and better benefits, and to protect the workers and job security. So that's kind of my background. That's why I got so involved and why I care so much. Of course, in 1997, I was about 22 years old. It was the first strike, first time I ever walked on a picket line. And I actually got my brother Antoine Andrews here with me. Antoine Andrews walked the picket line with me back in 1997. Antoine, show this sign real quick. I'm about to show you all a sign from the 1997 strike, and my brother Antoine Andrews. This is an actual sign from the 1997 strike. That's the sign we used on the picket line. That sign is over 25 years old. Yeah. So, you know, we found that sign in the basement of our hall. There's a few others left. It's a rare, little memorabilia from the 97 strike. And it's nice to have it, just to remember what we fought for back then. 185,000 workers hit the pavement back in 97, and we won higher wages. We won more full-time jobs. We won, when you strike, you win. That's the bottom line. I mean, not everybody has been successful, but luckily at UPS, that was the last and most successful strike we've had. And here we are in 23, and we're fighting for the same. Higher part-time wages, getting rid of the 2 tiers. Is very important for us, and we're willing to strike for it. And this time it ain't going to be 185,000 workers. There's 350,000 UPS workers across the country.
Wow, that's incredible. And just to backtrack a little bit on what you said, something that really hit home for me is that unions are not just for the workers, it's also for the families. I know that you said your family was struggling. You were able to get a really good job, get really good benefits, and it just helped you. It helped you and your family, right? Like, also, the other thing you mentioned was that, like, all these essential workers are now being pushed to the side, and just, like, at one point, it was, like, celebrations for all of the essential workers, and now, like, we can't even give you $1 more. You have to stay at 17. You have to choose between getting either milk or eggs. You have to choose between being able to continue to live the same lifestyle or living at home, right?
That's right.
A lot of the struggles that are going on, and so tell us a little bit more about the upcoming strike.
Well, the important thing to know is that when you're going on strike, you just don't want to go out there and yell out strike and not prepare your workers, right? So our general president is out there. He's been talking, that's the rhetoric. We're willing to take the company on strike. If by July 31st, our proposals and demands are not met, by August 1st, we will be hitting the pavement. But when you make statements like that, you have to prepare your members as well. Well before the strike, a year before, we were already at the buildings, handing out surveys to our members, educating our members, asking them and listening to their voices, trying to find out in these surveys what they wanted out of this strike, so that we can get a nice compilation of everything that the part-time workers wanted, things that the full-time workers wanted, different classifications. It was very important to get that from them so that we could get together the proper proposals pushing forward to get that. And once we had that, then that's when we started making our palm cards, our leaflets, and hitting the buildings. We held rallies a year out from the strike for the anniversary of the 97 strike, and a year out from the new possible strike, in many facilities all across the country, showing solidarity with one another. Locals all across the country taking pictures and showing solidarity, holding placards, placards like this. Antoine, if you don't mind real quick. Our workers are putting these kind of placards in our windows, in our cars, walking around with them. United for a strong contract. We don't live to work. We work to live. Flip it around. You have support rank and file negotiations. Take the contract unity pledge, which is another thing that we did. The contract unity pledge was very important because we actually started walking around with these pledge cards, and we hit every barn in our local, and other locals are doing the same, where basically hundreds of thousands of workers were filling out a pledge saying they're ready to strike if we have to, and these are the demands, and this is what we're willing to strike for. So we had a whole bunch of members sign those pledge cards. We've been holding rallies, and then recently, as of last week, we started holding rallies all across the country again, engaging our workers, engaging our members. Education is key. We got to let our members know what we're fighting for and why they got to be willing to put their lives on the line and strike. Well, not their lives, but their livelihoods, because at the end of the day, when you're on strike, you're not getting paid. But thankfully, we have a nice, healthy strike fund. Our workers will be getting 5 times their hourly dues. 5 times their dues that they pay monthly during the strike every week. So that's been helpful. When I was on strike in '97, all I got was $50 a week, and that didn't actually cut the mustard, if you know what I mean. Right. So thankfully in '97, it's a lot more than that. And on top of that, we've also been having what we call contract action team trainings. So our CAT trainings we've been having in a lot of locals across the country as well. It's showing our members how to strike, how to keep it peaceful, things that we have to do, things that we have to prepare for, art builds, creating signs, getting the placards, getting everybody educated, strike captains training, preparing our strike captains, making sure that we have people on the picket lines, getting attendance, making sure all our workers show up to these picket lines. Where the picket lines are weak, sending people over to that other picket line to make sure we build up our numbers. So yeah, there's been a lot of preparation. It's been a year. You don't just say you're going to strike without preparing for it. So we are preparing our workers. We're educating our workers, and these are some of the things that we've been doing here in Local 804 and in locals all across the country.
Right. Wow. That's a lot of preparation you've been doing. It definitely seems like you're well prepared. I know there's going to be a lot more rallies and events that are going to prepare some of the more workers and especially the outside community. But just a real quick question: how likely is it that the strike will happen, and how effective do you think it would be?
So I'm pretty confident that the strike is going to happen. I'm about 85 to 90%. Only because they have been kind of stonewalling us a little in negotiations. Some supplements are being taken care of. But our general president, Sean O'Brien, he said right off the back that if these supplements and these riders, and depending on what region you're in and what supplement and rider you're under, if they're not taken care of, then he's not going to negotiate on a national level with them. So that's kind of big. That's kind of big that our president is saying, you're going to have to take care of our locals. You're going to have to take care of these supplements and riders before you come and negotiate with me on a national level. So essentially, whatever we fight for on a supplemental level or on a rider level, then, they could only sweeten the pot for us over at the national level. And I think that was a good hard stance on the company. And this is why I think that it's a possibility that by July they'll just hand over and say, you know what, we're not going to do this. Because if you want to talk about the gravity of the situation, as you're asking about how big the strike can be, you're talking about 350,000 UPS workers. You're talking about 20 million packages a day that no other company could possibly absorb. You're talking about 6% of the world's GDP. Okay, that's enough to cripple the economy. As the young kids are saying today, I don't think UPS wants that kind of smoke. You know what I mean? It's just, you just never know with these corporations. They're very greedy, and they're going to try to take it to the limit. But at the end of the day, I truly believe that, the outcome of this is going to be big, because we're not, let's face it, man, we're not just fighting for UPS workers in this strike. This strike is bigger than us. This strike is bigger than those 350,000 workers. This strike is for all workers that are tired of being exploited. They're going to see this, and all these companies, Amazon, Target, Best Buy, all these companies, these mega million-dollar companies, are hoping that we fail, because they know what's at stake, because we're looking to raise the standard and set the bar so high that all of these companies are going to have to follow suit. Because who's going to want to work for a company when right down the road you can get this kind of money, these kind of pensions, these kind of benefits, So it's very important for us that we set a standard so high that the industry's got to keep up with it. And this is one of the major things, and there's a lot of people out there hoping that we get this done, because we're fighting for everybody. We're fighting for ourselves, but we're fighting for a lot more. It's bigger than us, man. It's bigger than us.
Yeah. If the rest of your comrades are anywhere as near as far as you are, then we're gonna be okay. The strike is gonna happen, and it's gonna be strong. And because I got some people here already agitated and hyped up. Someone's ready to go. They want the smoke.
Let's go.
People here want the smoke already.
Let's go.
I have a couple questions for you, and then we're gonna open it up to some public comments and questions. Something I've been curious about. I used to be an Amazon delivery driver for a while. How would those drivers go about entering the Teamsters? And is there any possibility, because I think I read somewhere that some Amazon drivers are willing to join the Teamsters and want to join. How do you see that going?
So, that's a great question. It's not an easy task. As you know, that Amazon likes to run this subcontracting model. It's been very difficult to overcome, but I got some great news on that front. There is a group of Amazon drivers in Palmdale, California, 84 drivers to be exact at a DSP, and they all got union recognition and within the week ratified their first contract where they got holidays such as Julio Cesar Chavez Day, Martin Luther King, and Juneteenth already. So yeah, you guys can applaud that. That was really huge. They are Teamsters out in California right now. But as you know, as I mentioned, the subcontracting model, Amazon's already claiming that these are not Amazon workers. And we all know that the sad part of that is these people are driving Amazon's vehicles. These people are wearing the Amazon uniform and brand. These people, the DSP owners, are even being told how to do the job, what to pay their workers. They even have the power to fire the workers. And how is that a separate company? How is meeting all that criteria make you separate from Amazon? So we got a lot to work on right now moving forward to helping these 84 drivers. And I would suggest, it just so happens that this DSP owner saw the exploitation of Amazon and how they were forcing him to treat his workers, and he recognized them as a Teamster union. He actually looked over the contract and the proposals and saw it was solid for his workers, and he took it because he's a smart person. Now, Amazon is trying to say that his contract was up and that he's not meeting his contractual requirements. But that's all BS. That's a game that they want to play now. His contract is good till October. And it's just important for people out here that are listening, support those Amazon workers. Let them know that they're not alone and that they have backing. The Teamsters have their back. We've always had their back, and we will continue to have their back.
Yeah, that's super inspiring, and I definitely think that if more Amazon drivers were able to hear that and organize themselves, that they could just join the Teamsters and get in on all these benefits. But it is tough. The subcontracting model, it's tough, right? You can be fired for pretty much anything. I know that's how I was fired from being a driver there, because I shaved my beard and they said that I wasn't myself, so they kicked me out. Then they allowed me to come back in. I cut my hair. They were like, "You're not you. You're fired." So it is bizarre how they work, and there's very little benefits and safeguards for you as a worker. Thank you for answering my question, Tony. We're gonna go to some of the comments that are here on our live. I'd encourage everyone who's on live to ask any questions you'd like. But this one comes from La Luna Metzli. What motivates you to do this work?
Oh, that's a great question. So, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of my motivation comes from being a young kid. I was born in the Bronx, raised in Brooklyn. During the 80s, if anybody doesn't know, it was during the crack era. I was living in East New York in a fairly impoverished area, and I saw a lot of poverty. I saw how these people were being treated, and I saw a lot of inequality, basically, income inequality, racial injustices. And you see this as a kid growing up, and there's something wrong in the world, And here I am as a young kid. I lost my dad. My dad, he was a good man, but he had a little bit of a drinking problem, and he passed away when I was 17 years old. And I really saw my mom struggling. And what motivates me is I know that there's a lot of kids like me out there, young men and women that are being raised by single mothers or maybe even orphans and don't have a family. I know kids that are part-time at UPS that live in a shelter. It's just what motivates me is that I can help these people. We can help these people together. There's a lot of people out there that are struggling, and we need to fight for more, for everyone. Again, I used to be in this UPS bubble, But as I got older, I realized that the world's a lot bigger, and there's a lot more. UPS is not the only corporation that's exploiting its workers. I mean, we have a contract with them, and the minute the ink dries, they're already trying to violate the contract. It takes a very strong and educated membership to hold the company accountable to the contract language. And if you don't have that, these companies, whether you have a contract or not, or whether you're in a union or not, they're going to run all over you. So it's very important for all workers to unite, all workers to get together, union workers, educating non-union workers, preparing them. It's always been my motivation to try to help people, try to continue to help people that were in my situation, and to hope that we can grow this movement so that all people can make a living wage, all people can get benefits, all people can, you know, and then of course environmental protection, right? A lot of people don't even talk about it. Well, some people do, fortunately. But I don't want my kid to grow up in a world where, you know, he can't breathe the air and he's walking around with an oxygen mask. I got 2 young children, 10 and 12 years old. My motivation is also them. I want them to be able to live in a world where if they don't want to go to college, they can get a good union job, take care of their families. I want them to be able to have a life, to be able to take care of that. I want them to be able to breathe the air. I want their children's children, my grandchildren, to be able to do the same. This isn't just a fight for us, man. This is a fight that's going to continue, and we got to continue to educate people and make people aware of all the things that are happening in this world and how we could come together and find a way to align and try to continue to push, you know, the agenda of you know, economic justice, environmental justice, racial justice, gender justice. You know, we have to push these things because who's going to do it if not us, right, brother?
That's right. And organizing can be a place where all these intersecting issues come together, and we can build a community to help combat all those issues. Like you said, there's not just economic justice, but like also the environmental justice is also another big thing that we need to focus on. So once again, we're opening it up for questions from people on Facebook and our Instagram Live. We're gonna have Laundry Workers Center come in a second, but before you go, Antonio, we're gonna wait for just some of the questions to come in. But at this moment, I'd really like to invite everyone to make a small donation of $25 to the Brand Workers Fundraiser to help support local food factory worker organizing. For the next couple hours, we're matching all donations. So if you make a $25 donation, it's really a $50 donation. And it's even better if you do a monthly donation, because just like a real relationship, you want consistency and stability. And that's what the monthly donations provide, is consistency and stability, so that we continue to be able to support workers who are predominantly undocumented workers who are organizing here in New York City in different food factories. Anyone from Live have any questions that they want to ask? We have just a minute before we transfer over. Okay. Well, is there any last words that you'd like to say to everyone on here, Tony?
I would say please donate to this cause. Help these guys out. The brand workers need your help. Los Hormigueros, they're a good group of people trying to do the right thing. Another thing is that as an organization, as organizations work with unions, as organizations and unions work with communities, we can really build something big here. It's got to be, you know, we got to understand that what we're doing is bigger than us. We got to continue to grow it out, continue to build these big coalitions, because it's the only way we're going to win, right? There's no way that we're anybody or any entity. It can't be me, Tony Rosario, versus UPS. It can't be Chris Smalls versus Amazon. It can't be you with the brand workers, right? It has to be a group of us. We all have to continue to work together in unison. It has to be the workers versus the companies. It has to be the people versus the corporations. There's no individualization here. You know, we got to make sure that we come at them as a group, as a secure, powerful group that can take them on, and we got to do it together. That's the only way.
That's right. Solidarity between all the different groups. Kind of said it.
Solidarity.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Tony.
Solidarity, brother. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
We'll see you on the picket line.
I'll see you on the picket line, brother.
Have a good one, Tony.
Take care. Take care, guys.